think it's okay to cheer on the death of Nazis. I don't think that people should be fired over that. Let's just start off there. Baseline, that's fine. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Last Week in Comics, where I talk about the last week in comics. Boy, howdy, has it been a fucking doozy. I don't think a lot of people realize that Red Hood video I posted was before she got fired. Like, the day before. Like, the window to post that video was so short, and yet I managed to post it at, like, the perfect time before the actual discourse started happening. But obviously, everything that's been currently in the comic book news cycle, we have to talk about Red Hood issue 1 and the eventual firing of Gretchen Felker Martin? That's her name? Yeah. Which I just want to start out by saying it is an unjust firing. As many people pointed out, she's made controversial statements along the same lines before this firing. So for it to be about specifically the death of Charlie Kirk is fucking crazy. Like, I don't think that she justifiably should have been fired. Being weird on Twitter is not a reason to fire someone. They won't even fire the fucking war criminal at DC. I feel like the baseline here should be most people, like DC is hiring and employing a lot of terrible people. Jeff Loeb, who has made anti-Asian comments. Phil Jimenez, who has made anti-Islamic or Islamophobic posts. Tom King, who's literally killed people. And I know so many people in my comments were like, oh, but Tom King was just following orders. That's shit Nazis fucking say. You guys do, like, understand this fundamentally in your heads, right? God. And yeah, this is grape soda. I really like grape soda. It is actually grape soda. There's fucking ice in this. If being weird on Twitter got people fired in comic books, then no one would fucking work in comic books anymore. Like, G. Willow Wilson, Ryan North, those are, like, the only two people who could work in comics still, if that's the baseline we're working with. And, like, I know people are like, oh, she harassed incest survivors, she harassed all of these people. It would only be a fireable offense if it happened after DC hired her. But all of that stuff happened before. She's been known for this stuff. This is what she's known for. So for DC to then go back and say, actually, the comments towards the comments saying that you're glad an actual Nazi is dead, and honestly, the tamest fucking jokes that I've ever fucking seen about Charlie Kirk shouldn't have been a fireable offense. I think, like, we all need to kind of reconcile with the fact that, like, yes, both big two comics companies are shitty companies. All of that. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. Let's actually talk about the book that people hated on before it even came out. I'm gonna be honest, I think the book is fine. I actually think that this might have been one of the greatest Red Hood books ever published, because again, need I remind you, the other Red Hood book was written by a sexual predator. Already, this book has been anti-cop, which is great for anything regarding Batman. I think Batman's too pro-cop. Huntress, the word still was going to be out on Huntress, but she was barely in the book to garner the reaction that we got online, where you guys went out and harassed Gretchen's black friend, which is crazy. Again, none of you guys put this energy towards Tom King. There is an actual murderer on DC's payroll right now, and you don't put that energy. Like, there was fucking master docs. You guys were working with the Israeli government to get this woman canceled. And yet you can't even, like, stop reading a Tom King book for 1 week. You can't even, like, stop reading a Tom King book. Like, what is wrong with you people? It would have been a good Red Hood series. It was an actual mystery series from DC Comics, which, you know, you couldn't fucking say that about Question All Along the Watchtower. Quite honestly, I would have liked Gretchen to write a Question book. I feel like that's right up... Again, I have no idea why DC hired this woman. Okay, this is a novelist, a queer novelist specifically, that they hired for Red Hood for some reason. Again, the only ones to blame at DC and Gretchen, you need to start up a fucking false termination lawsuit against them, if you can. Like, because this shit's ridiculous. Like, you took, like, this queer novelist, this queer horror novelist, and put her on Red Hood, and like now you want to take back your statement because like, oh God, I haven't. So Gretchen actually like has, not really publicly, but I think through like a Discord channel, has spoken about how exactly she got fired. And apparently it was from a phone call from a Warner Brothers executive who wanted her to cry and grovel about how sorry she is. And like, you know, good for Gretchen for fucking standing her ground. Like, you have DC writers who have said a lot worse on the internet. Again, just to name a few, Tom Taylor, Tom King, Phil Jimenez, Jeff Loeb. There's probably more people I could name too. Greg Rucka, which Greg Rucka was in the news for other things. Dan DiDio, Jeff Johns. Literally, there are so many shitty people at this company. And yet, the one who just wanted death to all Nazis is the fucking villain of the week. We should also still talk about Greg Rucka because also a interview from him just came out recently too, where he said that he was like abused, essentially, like emotionally abused by both Dan DiDio and Jeff Johns when he was working for DC. DC's just a shitty company, and like there is some like extent where you have to like accept that yes, Big Two Comics are shitty companies. However, they do hire a lot of really good people. Again, G. Willow Wilson, Ryan North, Denise Camp. Even though I don't really agree with the politics in his books sometimes, he's still done so much for Palestine. He's done so much to kind of help start conversations around certain topics. Mark Waid, even, I think, has been pretty solid. Like, we do have a lot of really good writers at DC, and when stuff like this happens, I always go back to the fact that, like, all of these comic book creators have, like, indie books that you should go check out. Den's Camp currently has, like, a ongoing that's kind of in the same vein as his Ultimates and, Absolute lines right now. It's called, yes, Assorted Crisis Events. That's one. Yeah, if you like Den's Camp, go read Assorted Crisis Events. I have heard great things about that book. I do think he's allowed to have more of his political opinions in it. Go check out Gretchen Faulkner's novels. It's clear that that's clearly where she wants to be instead. All this to say, do I think that boycotting DC is going to fix anything? No. Honestly, if they're going to sink all their money into Tom King, the best we can do is not buy Tom King's books so that they just keep wasting more and more money. You know, like, don't buy books from shitty people. Don't buy books of people who you don't agree with politically. Those are, like, two completely fine things. Honestly, I still do think that Gretchen was fired falsely. Like, I don't think that being weird on Twitter is a fireable offense, you know? Especially because this was a tame-ass tweet. I can't call for an entire boycott of DC. If I've learned anything from the Marvel boycott, none of you guys are going to listen anyway. And that one was, like, a legitimate boycott. Like, BDS was actually asking us to boycott. This is a organic boycott that's just kind of starting from people being like, I'm done with DC. Like, again, I do want to just remind people, like, you guys don't have to... First off, most of you guys don't even fucking read comics anyway. If you read comics, my show wouldn't have gotten... I wouldn't be in fucking business right now. But second off, like, DC and Marvel, at least, like, as comic book companies, as comic publishing companies, they can hire shitty people as much as they like. You just don't have to you don't have to pay money to read their books. Let DC and Marvel take the loss for hiring these absolutely horrendous people. Put your money where your mouth is, as I always like to say, because most of you guys pirate comics anyway. And that is also to say that, like, online clout, equals, like, you know, DC and Marvel keep on hiring these people because any press is good press in the comic book world. So, if you really want these shitty people to get fired, don't talk about the book. It's as simple as that. They'll either keep on getting hired and keep on being a money sunk for DC Comics, or they'll get fired. And if you feel like you need to boycott DC as a company as a whole, that's fine too. I'm not going to tell you guys how to spend your money. I do this show because I want people... A lot of people don't understand how comic books are released on a week-to-week basis. This show is meant to provide you, A, with maybe some books that you should go pick up, because I personally like those books, and I think more people should read them. Or B, just letting you know what came out this week, so when you go to your local comic book shop, you know what to pick up from the last week. You know, like that's all the show is. And, like, yeah, I would probably put it out, like, on Wednesday if I got advanced copies, but I don't, because this is a small-ass YouTube channel. I would, honestly. Like, if I got advanced copies, like, on Monday, I would have it out by Wednesday. I know, DC, I called you a shitty company, but, like, send me advanced copies. But only of the good books. Don't fucking send me Tom King's fucking asswipe of a fucking series. I know Trinity came out this week. That's why I'm calling it.
And now you don't have to talk about it again.
And now I don't have to talk about it again. Trinity came out. I hope that every single... Like, if you're a comic book shop, stop fucking pre-ordering that shit. This is me talking specifically to the comic book shops. Because, again, how comic books and how, like, how DC, like, generates profit and, like, knows what books are doing well. They're mostly reliant on the comic book shops. Which, yeah, makes it seem like, yeah, you don't really have that much buying power, but you control what the shops buy. But, like, if you run a comic book shop, stop fucking buying Trinity. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, honestly, any comic book shop that cancels all the future orders of Trinity, I will cover for them specifically. Any issues of, Trinity that your shop has pre-ordered, if you cancel those orders, I maybe won't pay you directly to cancel orders of Trinity, but I will go to your comic book shop. I will make an entire video advertising your comic book shop for free, and I will pay you however much profit you lost on those canceled issues. I will pay you that in back issues I'm buying. And probably tips, too. I feel like I should be able to tip some comic book. Sometimes I want to, like, give, like, $5 to the cashier because they did a really good job talking to me. I don't know. Oh my god, a pigeon! What a magical fucking moment. Anyway, let's talk about some really good books this week. First one I want to talk about is Supergirl issue 5. If you want to support trans women at DC, you should buy Supergirl number 5 by Sophie Campbell. This issue was adorable. It's like a nice, like, 2-part adventure. The first half is happening with, like, Crypto and, like, Leslar's, like, bunny, that I always forget the name of. And, like, Crypto's like, oh, are we, like, Crypto thinks that they're friends and that this is how rabbits play. And, the bunny's trying to kill him. So that's really fun. You remember the, like, one book, like, Bunnicula? That's how I feel when I see Leslar's, like, rabbit. And then, like, the second story is about, Streaky and, like, Titano, who's, like, this tiny little monkey. Like, this tiny gorilla. They now have a tiny gorilla. We have gorillas back in comics right now. And that's why I really like Supergirl. I'm kidding. This has been a really great series. But they are essentially rescuing, like, the super cats from causing damage, and it's, I don't know, it's just a cute, fun issue. I feel like Supergirl, the current run by Sophie Campbell, has done a really good job, like, individually kind of having, like, self-contained stories every single week, or every single month, and this one's no exception, but it does seem like we're getting into a little bit more plot-relevant stuff with Kara, or with Kara, at least in the next issue, because she just kind of passes out at the end of this one. I don't know, it's a cute issue. I don't know what else to say about it. If you want to support trans women at DC, go pick that up. Also, go pick up the Rachel Pollack collection, or Jazia Axelrod's Hawk Girl 2023, because she also received death threats from that, which is why I'm so confused as to why certain people on the internet thought that, like, doxing a trans woman would be, like, leftist instead of, like, just more fuel to help right-wingers. Like, we've been through this again. Like, we've been through this before with other trans writers at DC. Like, are you guys stupid? But yeah, go pick up Nicole Main's Secret Six. It's being put into trade soon. I love that series. I will die for that series. Support trans women. Just in general. And if you're gonna be transphobic in my comment section, I will delete your comment and block your account. So fuck you guys. In this house, we respect trans people. Trans lives matter than fucking Nazi lives, I can tell you that much. That should be like the baseline politics of everyone. Other books I read this week. Fire and Ice, When Hell Freezes Over. This was another female writer who got a hate campaign started against her. Like, Joanne Starter's fine. She's not the worst writer at DC, I can tell you that much. So with Fire and Ice finally being over, so I kind of skipped a lot of the side character plots in this one, because I do feel like the best parts of both of Joanne Starter's Fire and Ice series, you know, When Hell Freezes Over and the original Welcome to Smallville, I feel like the best parts about it are the relationship between Fire and Ice. I think that she nails it perfectly. She nails it beautifully. And honestly, if the book was just that, I think it would be highly regarded as probably better character work than those two have gotten in years. And, like, I understand that, like, people want to downplay the fact that Bea was a Brazilian stereotype. She just was one, okay? Like, that's just a fact about the JLI era. Again, this book, like Blue and Gold, was not meant to, like, erase all of that history that these characters have, and it quite frankly didn't. It's just meant to be a starting off point for people who aren't really that much into reading older comics, you know? Like, those people exist, and I think that they're completely valid, because sometimes I'd be sitting through a Stan Lee book, and I feel like I lost part of my brain. Stan Lee can't fucking write. He has like 500 run-on sentences in like one speech bubble, and I'm like, how the fuck did you fit in this many words? Looking back, again, are these series good? I had fun with them. And you know what? Reading comics should be fun. Reading comics should be enjoyable. Do I think that you should personally pick this up? It depends on what kind of person you are. I feel like if you're someone who really liked the JLI era, then this book might not be for you. But if you want more, if you read, like, I Can't Believe It's Not the Justice League, you're so deep into it, you might as well just read this. Also, like, I feel like it's kind of unfair to compare this sometimes to Blue and Gold, because also, on the other hand, Blue and Gold was it partially written by Dan Jurgens, or was it completely by Dan Jurgens? Oh, yeah, like, Blue and Gold was completely written by Dan Jurgens, who was the creator of Booster Gold, versus Fire and Ice is someone taking over these characters with these long-standing histories, like, come on. Also, a writer who does not have as much pull at DC as, like, people like to think. I don't know why people think that writers have a lot of creative control over these characters. They don't. Ultimately, any change that they make has to go through editorial, so, like, let's say, you know, a book comes out and a bunch of people are mad because it mischaracterizes one of the Bat Boys. That's not controlled by the writer, that's controlled by editorial. Any information that writer was given to them by editorial. And they shouldn't receive death threats over it. Like, what is wrong with you people? So the last book I read this week, and honestly, I have been really enjoying it, is Superman the Kryptonite special. When people say that we need more Silver Age-esque books, I need to point them to Superman the the Kryptonite Spectrum. It's really fucking good. So this one has, like, a giant Superman kaiju that's, like, tearing through everything. And I like kaiju in general. And it does a really fun job with, like, the paneling and how large they make Superman and how he, like, grows and stuff. And then Lex blasts him with red kryptonite, which causes him to attack the city. It's like a whole thing. But what I'm really excited for is at the end of the issue, we got, like, the tease for the next one. And it's going to be a Billy Batson and Superboy adventure, because the next kryptonite that Clark got hit with reverted him back into Superboy. If you're questioning how good this could possibly be, I need to also point out the fact that they called Shazam Captain Marvel instead of Shazam. Like, he's Captain Marvel in this. Which can tell you how much care and effort that they have towards the character in general. So I'm really excited for this one. I do highly recommend you read Superman the Kryptonite special. It's from the same team that did The Ice Cream Man, which I've heard really good things about. I will probably read it soon and hopefully have a review out eventually, but I have a lot of other shit going on in my life, so. But honestly, go read Superman the Kryptonite special, especially if you want, like, a good book this week. Especially if you want to, like, if you're one of those fans who wants to kind of go back to the older era of comics, but, like, again, there is reading, like, difficulties between the two. This might be a nice bridge into it. I wouldn't know. I exclusively read older comics, outside of the stuff I do for this show. Okay, now I'm just going to talk about a book I have heard a lot about because I kind of stopped reading it. Mostly because, fun fact about Jeremy Adams, the writer of Green Lantern Corps and Green Lantern. Jeremy Adams, who is a right-wing nut job. That's not his only crime. There's actual shit. I have not pulled up the tweets yet. We will do a montage of the tweets during this. And we will play that, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm music during it. But yeah, Green Lantern Corps seems to be crossing over with what I assume to be happening in Green Lantern with the fucking, like, construct that they're writing. Like Carol's sad boyfriend exploded himself, so yippee. And then Simon seems to be taken over by Krona. Apparently Kelly's glove is Krona, which I cannot wait until Jeremy Adams is off this book. His co-writer Morgan Hampton is taking over, and so hopefully the book will actually be good now. Just saying, I feel like also, like, someone at DC has to be, like, watching my shit, because I did call for the firing of Jeremy Adams, like, a few months ago. Which, in that case, DC executives, if you're watching, please fire Tom King. I know a lot of people who will be buying more DC books if you fire Tom King. And Otto Schmidt, because Otto Schmidt, outside of being named after a Nazi, is also a pedophile. I just found out, thanks to all the shit that's been going on. Should be crazy at DC. Like, how the fuck do you hire this many terrible people? And then the other one I kind of, like, half-heartedly paid attention to because of discourse online is Aquaman #9, which, oh yeah, is also a Jeremy fucking Adams book. Jesus fucking Christ. Fire this guy. He's essentially, you know how, like, oh, we killed off everyone and they're all old now. And now everyone's back and they're young again. So, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Aquaman seems to be... Aquaman, at the beginning, had a lot of promises, and then people found out that Jeremy Adams can't fucking write, which also I'm blocked by him on Twitter now, but for telling that to him to his face. But anyway, Jeremy Adams can't fucking write it at all. And so now it's just kind of... It's an awful book that's just kind of wafting in the air. Also, speaking of awful people who have books at DC, Children of the Round Table issue 1 came out. Quite frankly, what I mostly know Tom Taylor for is his sort of racism regarding Starfire, specifically. And I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, but Starfire's an alien, she's not... Like, Starfire in some part is based off of a woman of color. Who exactly is up for debate depending on what George Perez says that day, but regardless, she is based off of a person of color. A woman of color, specifically. And so, when you look back, like, a lot of her experiences are based around the fact that she can be interpreted as a woman of color. So when you look back at, like, a lot of the stuff that Tom Taylor has written, specifically regarding Starfire, specifically the misogyny that he has thrust towards Starfire, in comparison to the white Barbara Gordon, you start really questioning who he is as a person, especially when he has blocked a lot of fucking Twitter about it. Which is, again, why I say that being weird on Twitter shouldn't be a fireable offense. And I also agree, kind of in this case, too, that Tom Taylor is a very bad writer on certain books that he has been given, specifically Nightwing. I think that that should be a fireable offense not being weird on Twitter. Although he did it after he was hired, and also as the, de facto writer of Nightwing, so it could look actually bad on DC's image, unlike, again, what Gretchen did, which was, nothing in comparison. I feel like so much shit's happened this week that I just haven't heard about any other books. So, Court Children of the Round Table, it's a children's comic book about the Knights of the Round Table. That's what it is. I know people personally who have been really excited for it. It seems like a fun children's book. I think that anything that gets children more into comics is great. Should it be written by Tom Taylor? That's a different question, but I do feel like his writing style specifically is probably more garnered towards younger readers than, I would say, a lot of other writers at DC, so it kind of makes sense. Court Children of the Round Table. I think it's going to be a fine book. I do think that I feel like Tom Taylor should get more of a slap on the wrist for everything he's been saying to fans for months now, but again, I don't think being weird on Twitter is a fireable offense. I will take that stance. There's a lot worse people who are being hired at DC right now. So I'm gonna mention one more. It's a Superman book, and then I'm just gonna list off all the Batman books that came out this week because I do not have enough time to keep up with Batman. So, okay, Action Comics 1090 came out this week. We're still on Mark Waid's Superboy era. Has apparently been doing wonders to the Superboy stocks. There's a lot of people who I feel like have been on the fence about should Superboy even exist. And I feel like Mark Waid's sort of series that he's been doing in Action Comics has kind of turned around public opinion on it, which is crazy. But also, I feel like writing Superboy is exactly where Mark Waid needs to be. Mark Waid is someone who very much can capture an older style of comics when he wants to. I just don't think putting him in charge of all of DC is a good choice. I don't think anyone should be in charge of all of DC. I feel like if I lived in a world, every book would have exactly one editor on it, and there would not be any overall editors. Fucking talk to people. But that's besides the point. Again, I've been hearing really good things about his Action Comics works. I personally when I read Superman, I'm reading it for Supergirl, so that's just more of a personal preference. But if you like Mark Waid, definitely go check it out. If you're iffy on Superboy, give it a chance. I feel like there's at least some barrier to entry with the older Superboy books, but this is a modern take on it, and you might end up liking it better and then being pro Superboy Adventures of Superman as a boy, 4 Batman books that came out this week. Number 1, Absolute Batman issue 12. No, I have not been keeping up with Absolute Batman. Also, Scott Snyder, a guy who has put in his comic books the killing of Nazis. Absolute Batman issue 12 came out. Batman Dark Patterns issue 10. I've been hearing good things about it. I personally just don't like Batman books. Batman and Robin issue 25. I think I might have taken this off my pull list. If not, I might. But they are starting a new arc. So if you're into Batman and Robin, this one... So mainline Batman by Matt Fraction is having Robin be Tim Drake. I still believe that Batman and Robin, this series, has Damian Wayne. So if you prefer Damian over Tim, go check this out instead. And then Batman Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice issue 3. I really wish that they would just make the League for Justice a separate thing. You can still kind of call it Gotham by Gaslight, or maybe just make, an overall better title for this new Earth that everything's being set in, because I would honestly really like to get into it, but, personally for me, I don't read Batman like that, so in order to get into it, I would have to, subject myself to a lot of Batman, and I'm just not willing to do that. Now, on to the indies! Woo! Image Comics. The 2 books I want to shout out this week are, of course, Radiant Black. I really like the Radiant series. I do think that they need more women in it. But if you're a big fan of Power Rangers, Tonkatsu in general, Invincible, I know a lot of Invincible fans really like it. Definitely go check it out. Honestly, personally, I feel like this is one of those books that is going to eventually wind up being adapted. I feel like the only thing really stopping his popularity. And honestly, I would kind of like to see it adapted. Mostly because then we get more of an expansion on the Massive verse in general. Because I like the other parts of the Massive verse, like Radiant Pink, Radiant Red, Inferno Girl Red, which I found out that Radiant Red, the girl one, was replaced by a man, so I'm going to personally fight Kyle Higgins. I'm gonna fight you about that. Where the fuck is she? And then also the other book I want to shout out is Transformers issue 24. Like, there's been like this certain renaissance in the Transformers fandom. So like if you watch like Transformers 1 or like that other one that had that one guy from Hamilton, if you're getting into that, I highly recommend that you check out the Transformers comics. They're really fucking good right now. It's like, because the Michael Bay movies happen, a lot of people are poisoned to Transformers as a franchise. Like, no, this is soap opera with sentient cars, okay? Like, this is a like space soap opera with sentient cars. I should clarify. Transformers is really fucking good. Distillery also does indie comics, and they have published one by Chip Zdarsky called White House Robot Romance. I didn't read I read it as White Hot Robot Romance.
Wait,
what the fuck is this? This is a book about romantic relationships between two robots who are like servants in the White House. What the fuck is Chip Zdarsky on? What the fuck is Nixon doing here? Do I think you should read it? No. I read that as White Hot Robot Romance. Maybe instead of reading that, read Daystar's actual favorite robot romance by Jess Fink called Chester 5000. It is not safe for work, so like, if you're under 18, don't. But like everyone else, you shouldn't be under 18 and watching this channel now that I realize it. Last but certainly not least, my favorite indie publisher, IDW Comics. They have 3 books out this week. First one is Godzilla, Here There Be Aliens. I do think that this is a mini, so I really do want to read it all in one go. But it is Godzilla versus Aliens, which is always a good thing. Don't let people lie to you and say those couple years where like Godzilla got really campy and really weird were bad. It was actually very good. I like campy Godzilla. I fucking hate Manila though. Manila disturbs me. And then also Godzilla number 2. There is a new Godzilla series that just started. I talked about it the month it came out. Issue 2 just came out. I do need to still read it, but it's just been a weird week. It is so interesting because you essentially have someone who can fucking like atomic breath people. Like the atomic laser that fucking Godzilla has, he can like reverse sound kaiju, and it's just, that's so interesting. It's a really good series. I think you should go check it out. And then of course, even though my best friend Ryan North is no longer on Lower Decks, Lower Decks issue 11 came out. It's still consistently good. Definitely go check out Lower Decks. Go check out everything that IDW is doing. They have a lot of IP comics, which means that a lot of their comics are very accessible for new readers. If there's any company you should start reading, now that like you're kind of done with DC, it's definitely IDW. That's it for Last Week in Comics. Up here is your next recommended video. Is it another episode of Last Week in Comics? Is it one of my YouTube shorts? Is it an episode of Ash and Their Fantastic Friends, my live show I do every Saturday, 9 p.m. EST? I don't fucking know. I don't know. No one will tell me. Maybe it's a video I haven't even published yet because I gotta figure out what the fuck I'm doing if we're actually doing a like a hard standing boycott of DC, not just a bunch of people saying it on Twitter. Down here is the rest of the playlist for Last Week in Comics. I've been doing this since November 2024. So if you have a specific series that has already ended that you wanted to see me talk about, it's probably there. Over here is the subscribe button. Subscribe. That's all I have to say. I feel like I've been losing followers because I have taken the opinion of like... Anyway, but subscribe. Like, comment, share, all of those lovely things. And cut.